Let me say one more thing here. I see some names on here who I do not know. You're very welcome. We're glad to have you. I'm a trance channel for several entities. One of the primary entity is Aaron, but also entities like Yeshua. I am only one of many channels for Yeshua. The website said the channel for, but it should really say a channel for. There are many wonderful, clear channels for Yeshua. I feel honored to be allowed to be a voice through whom he can come. My love to you. I am Yeshua, and I greet you in love and light. I am so happy to have this opportunity to be with you today. So today you are remembering first the crucifixion, and then the resurrection. I asked Barbara to come in and speak to you about the meaning of these words in your present life, your present world. First, let's take a look at the words. Crucifixion. To be fixed to a cross. This was a common way of execution back in Roman times. Not just for me, but was the common way of putting people to death. So we can speak of the literal meaning, to be fixed to a cross, or the wider meaning. In your scriptures, it quotes me of saying, and please know that this was not the exact quote, but it's close enough. If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. To take up your cross daily. And I have read the lines from Luke 9:23. If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. So I mentioned that crucifixion simply means to be fixed to a cross. And let's take it from there. In my case, it was a literal cross. Everybody, every sentient being desires pleasure and wishes to avoid pain. Every sentient being would prefer not to suffer. When the lines say, deny himself, that doesn't mean to turn away from yourself, but to not be a slave to the ego voice that says, no, I want it my way. I only want to be comfortable. In order to not be moved predominantly by the ego's voice, the voice of the small self, it is vital that you learn to hear the voice of the large self, the Christ within. The word Christ simply means awakened one, much like the word Buddha. Within each of you is the awakened one, the Buddha, the Christ. The everyday self, the ego self, does not want to pick up the cross. It wants to find some place to be safe in the world and comfortable. The Christ or Buddha within is more interested in us than me. It understands the interconnection of all beings. The cross is the burden. Each of you have many burdens in your life. They may be experienced as body discomfort, emotional discomfort, life experience discomfort. And I know Aaron refers to these as teachers and asks you to say, thank you, teacher. But now, in today's world, we need to take it a step further. Not just to say, thank you, teacher, and use the teaching as a way of getting through the immediate situation. But to say, thank you, teacher. Today, through you, I open the intention to more fully awaken in service to all beings. Pick up your cross daily when you get out of bed in the morning. Whatever that cross may be, it will be heavy and perhaps uncomfortable. You do not carry it for yourself, but for all beings. You carry this cross because when there are a million of you all carrying it, it is no longer very heavy. The pandemic is not the only cross in your world today. The blossoming hatred in the world. The blossoming fear. Everything will blossom when the conditions are present for it. Let us have love and flowers that are blossoming, not fear and hatred, not separation. The destruction of your Earth's environment. This is another cross. The word resurrection can be thought of as rebirth. Coming back into the fullest being. Dear brothers and sisters, you have all stepped out of Eden. Each by your own free will choice, no longer to live so solidly in that heart of divinity, but to come out and explore how you and your own free will can enhance the power of that divinity. It may seem like an odd statement. If God is all, is everything, how can anything enhance it? Let's take that divinity as a small, intense ball, bursting, yearning to burst out into the world, into the universe, to be known in all its light and love and glory. Here we have something very beautiful. Now imagine that the blue within the ball is God. It's trapped within the ball. It wants to come out. It wants to expand itself. And you are the tool for that expansion. You co-created this with God, Goddess, divinity, that which is source. You co-created this with your own free will intention. I am willing to come out of this protected environment and move out into the universe, expressing the essence that I am of love to everything in the world. I am willing. I choose. And with that, I choose. You stepped out of Eden and into the mundane world of conditions. At first, it seemed like a delightful choice. Wow, I can do everything. And then it seemed like a hard choice because you began to see that whatever you chose had ramifications. And that if you were not centered in the awakened heart, what might express would be anger, fear, and pain. In other words, you saw the existence of the small ego self as well as the divine self, and they were not yet fully connected. The resurrection, as I see it, is just this reconnection. To allow that shift from self-identification with the small self to expressing the fullness of the divine self, each of you radiant sparks of God. This is what I chose on that Easter so long ago. I was human. All human things are born of conditions. The bodies, physical, mental, emotional. They are subject to arising and passing away. My choice was to help you all to know that once those bodies are gone, something still exists, and it is this heart of awakened love, this essence of the divine that still exists. You are that. They could not kill me. The essence that I am is here. I could not be speaking to you otherwise. In the case of my experience, I had learned certain techniques to take the body to a point of near, let us say, it seemed to be death. So much had the life functions ceased. Probably today they would detect something alive, but in those days they did not have those medical tools. So as far as they were concerned, I was dead. But for me, moving through that passageway, more and more I knew the true self, the living Christ, which all of you also are, and that I could bring it into manifestation. Now let us bring this to the present life experience. From my perspective and that of other, you call us entities, deeply loving, awakened beings, we have seen the earth spiraling down into increasingly low vibration, fear and negativity, while there were still a few of you holding that high vibration. But quite literally, those living in fear and self-centeredness were destroying themselves and the earth. Nobody sent COVID-19. As Aaron has pointed out repeatedly, it is a parasite, and it will flourish when the conditions are ripe for it to flourish. The lowering vibrational frequency of Earth and of many humans gave it opportunity to flourish. It's opportunistic in that way. As with everything, every cross you have ever been asked to bear, love is the answer. The only answer. Yes, they may find the technology to stop this particular virus. And what about the next one and the next? Love is the answer. Love. What allows for that love is your willingness to take up your cross and to walk with me, walk with all the awakened ones, with all of those who support you. Such courageous humans you are, willing to take this on. When something is spiraling down, what does it take to stop it and send it back up? It does not take a majority of the earth. You've all heard of the teaching of each teach two. This is true energetically as well. When you, quote, deny yourself, by which I mean deny the stories of your own fear-based ego. Refuse to get caught up in those stories, but hold the intention. This situation, I offer this situation for the healing of the earth and all sentient beings upon the earth, and that it expand out into the universe. This is the beautiful possibility. This is the resurrection. Each of you matters, in this work. Each of you has a major part to play in it. You do not have to do it perfectly. What does perfect mean? Only to open your heart to your fear and pain. Not condemn yourself that they have arisen. The causes have not yet been purified, so they will arise. How will you relate to fear, to pain, to anger? The awakened Christ within you, the awakened Buddha, the awakened heart, These know how to relate. They can do it without trying to figure it out. It's spontaneous. You know what to do. All right. Humility. Even Yeshua makes mistakes. And I don't scold myself for the mistake. I just promise myself to pay more attention the next time. To do the best we can with what are difficult situations. I see this time on earth, as I said, not planned. Simply, this is what this COVID-19 virus did. Because it is willing to take advantage of any opening. Simply to perpetuate itself. That is the nature of any living thing. Choosing to survive. So it's advantageous in that way. It saw an opening and it came in. And now it's thriving. You are still carrying the cross as long as you were dwelling with stories of despair and of anger and becoming caught in those stories. It is not having the stories arise that's the issue. It's becoming caught in them. They will cease to arise when the conditions are resolved. You resolve the conditions by entering into the next phase, the resurrection. The rebirth of you, your holy and beautiful self, into the awakened essence that you are. Into what you chose when you stepped out of the Garden of Eden. When you stepped out of totally living within the heart of the divine and choosing to know the idea and experience of separation. And not to become caught in its stories. This resurrection, we pray that it opens and blossoms from today, worldwide, that beings all over this earth will wake up with the remembrance, I am divine. Everything else is also divine, including this virus. I have the ability to say no to that which is self-centered and destructive. So with compassion, I say no to the virus, not with hatred, with compassion, but with a firm compassion. I choose to raise my own vibrational frequency. And in doing so, to share that vibrational frequency with Earth and all upon it. To start a new day on Earth. A time when the Earth may move into the high vibration for which it was intended. We transition to a higher density, grounded in love. This is the time of transition, for which I came 2,000 years ago. And beloved ones, you are ready. You have been ready for a long time, but you find it hard to believe you are ready. I do not suggest it will be easy. This present crucifixion may last quite a while longer until it all settles down. You are the ones who make that decision. Why would I have chosen to just hang there on the cross? I could have prolonged my life for hours, days, even weeks. Why would I have chosen to do that? It was time to let go of the old and lead the way into the new, as you, beloved friends, are doing now. Leading the way into higher consciousness, knowing yourselves as higher consciousness and knowing all that is as that higher consciousness, including beloved Earth as that higher consciousness. The Earth almost had to go through a period of deterioration before it, as a also sentient being, was ready to shift. DNA in yourselves, in all beings, and in the Earth is shifting. We're told scientifically that right now the Earth is more still than it has been for many decades. Are you ready when this pandemic ends to live your lives in a more mature and responsible way? Are you ready to truly hold to your vows to harm no living thing? As I said that, some of you were thinking, do you mean we should be vegetarians? Not necessarily. Yeah? If you eat a carrot, you're killing a living thing. I did not say not to eat living things, but not to harm them. When you look over the field of carrots and you ask, which one will come to me and serve as my supper? You'll hear them say, me, I'd like to do that. You don't raise your own meat, so it's harder. But when you go into the market and there are trays of meat, and I trust you are choosing meat that has been meat from animals that have been raised with kindness. Don't look for the cut that looks prettiest. Hold your hands over it. Which meat wants to come to me and feed me? Ah, thank you. Thank you for being willing to give up your own personal life to become a part of this life and do this work of raising consciousness on Earth with me. Thank you. And then you cook it with love and you eat it with love. So what I mean is not to avoid the necessities for the human body, but to take whatever comes to you with gratitude and to share it back out with joy. And in this way, to keep creating a higher consciousness. Perhaps eventually, Your bodies will evolve to the point that all of you become what I call breatharians, able to simply survive by air, by breathing. Until then, just be grateful and watch the arising of grasping, of greed, of hatred in yourself with compassion. This is my line again. Anyone who desires to come after me, let him deny himself, is a bad English translation. Let him not be reactive to the impulses of the ego self that will necessarily arise in the human, but instead to bear with loving kindness, spaciousness, even gratitude, the burdens that come. And be willing to carry these burdens and to release the burdens. No one is asking you to carry them forever. You have to remember they must be released. To come back into knowing the awakened one in yourself and in everybody else. Cherishing the awakened ones all around you. I am not dead. I am not gone. I walk with you daily. Some of you feel my energy with you daily. I choose only to be your friend. To see how the camera works, holding out a hand. I choose to be your friend. To have the opportunity for us to cherish each other and the awakened consciousness that is the heart of both of us, the core of non-separation, that heart of divinity that we all are. Barbara's been bringing her attention to a prayer. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. What does will mean? I know Aaron has asked you to consider that. From my perspective, will means coming back together into the heart of God. Living, as Aaron would put it, one foot within the Garden of Eden and the other foot outside and tending to the world, tending to the universe, in fact. Able to stay balanced in that place with so much love. I want to find something here that was very beautiful. Barbara attended a Passover Seder. The couple with whom they have had Seders for 40 years brought over some food and they sat 10 feet apart on Barbara's deck. Barbara and Hal on one side and her friends on the other side. She read this, and Barbara was moved by it. So I thought I would share it with you today because it's very relevant to what I'm talking about. In the Seder, there are 3 stacked matzahs. The bottom matzah represents the earthly realm. The top is the heavenly realm. Below, pure physicality. Above, pure spirit. The middle matzah represents the human story, straddling above and below. The role of humans is to become the bridge. Does that sound familiar to some of you in Aaron's classes? She loved the synchronicity. The middle matzah represents the human story, straddling above and below. The role of humans is to become the bridge, bringing holiness down into the nitty-gritty stuff of life, and at the same time elevating the mundane so it takes on spiritual meaning. When we lift the three matzahs on the Seder table, we're holding a schematic model of all reality. We focus on the middle matzah, representing the human situation. The middle matzah is broken. We put aside the larger half. What remains is small and ragged. The bread of affliction, the bread of impoverishment and enslavement. We begin the Seder by recognizing that, like the Israelites in Egypt, the world we inhabit is broken, incomplete, full of suffering and despair. With our first bite of the middle matzah, we internalize this truth. You are living this middle matzah. You, as Aaron has said to you, and I have said to you before, you have such enormous courage to have volunteered to come to earth at this time, to take this on. Those of us who are beyond the human body, we cannot do this. Only you can do it. Have courage, my dear ones, and cherish yourselves. You are not meant to disappear back into Eden, but to bring Eden out into the universe, starting with your home planet and yourselves. This is the resurrection. To bring yourself from that small, fearful being into the whole, radiant essence and spread it around. I love you very much, and I greatly appreciate your willingness to take this on. This touches not only your lives and your earth, but the whole universe. I believe, I don't have a calendar in front of me. I think Wednesday Aaron will speak, and he will speak more on this theme. Perhaps I will even join him a bit, or Love will join him. So we will be enlarging this theme. Today is just a celebration of the amazement, the joy of Easter. May each of you blossom into all that you truly are. Please feel my love with you and my blessings. You are never alone. You are loved. I'll step back now, but stay in the body and see if there are questions. Tana, if I understand this correctly, I must open the chat box. Is that correct? I am reading it here. Thank you, and go ahead. Perhaps you can write in the chat box, perhaps there are truly no questions. You've recognized I am the resurrected awakened one. How can I have questions? But if you do have questions, I'm happy to hear them. This is really the whole of what we've been talking about. The bottom matzah of the human that experiences separation, loss, fear. The upper matzah, that which is touching the heavenly realms and knows its connection with everything else. And you as the human, you are somewhere in the middle. Aaron, in some ways, would be better suited to answer this. My answers will be short because we only have 10 minutes. So I'll speak to this, and please bring it into Aaron on Wednesday night. This sense of separation, first of all, there has to be compassion for the human who's experiencing it. Not saying, no, I'm not isolated. I won't let myself feel that, but oh, it hurts. I feel so sad. I feel so separate. Then inviting the wisdom mind. The one who says, I feel separate. Who is that? Who feels separate? Me. The ego. The one who is used to comfort. Well, who else is there? Besides this small self. In meditation, can I reach out, even go in your backyard if it's safe and hug a tree? Or pick up a small ant or earthworm. Hold a daffodil in your hands. I am connected to all that is. Lie on your back if weather permits, on the grass, or whatever place you have, and look at the sky. Watch the clouds floating by. I am the blue sky. I am the clouds. I am the daffodil. I am the ant. One does not negate the other. You are this awakened heart, and you are the suffering human. The more you can have compassion for the suffering human without buying into its stories, the more you can experience your deep interconnection with all things. And that aspect of you is never separate. Simply put, all religions are paths to knowing the true self. What resonates for you will depend in large part on your karmic history. As you mature in every way, the source of the path will become less significant to you. Simply, does this path help me right now? If we had a lot of time, I might, and if Barbara were willing, I would not invite a being to incorporate without her permission. But if I had a lot of time, it would be wonderful to have some of the great enlightened teachers of various religions speak up on this question. They are my brothers and sisters here on these higher planes. And between us, we see no differences, only One person might prefer to carve wood with a certain kind of mallet and sharp edge tool. Another might prefer a knife. Another might burn it with fire and sand it out, or bury it in the ground to rot a bit. There are paths to making a beautiful finished piece of wood. Your goal is the same, to wake up. There is no conflict at these higher levels. Hidden purposes. I've read things that do not resonate for me at all, that somebody planted the virus, that it's a political tool, that beings from outer space planted it. This is not real. This virus has been here for a long, long time. It will take advantage wherever it can grow. The lower vibration gave it a chance to dig its talons in. Love is the only true healing of it in the long run, because this particular mutation may be healed with some kind of medical tool. But then 10, 20 years, there will be another mutation and another. You are being given the opportunity truly to change the earth by changing the vibration. Changing, for many of you, literally changing your DNA and the DNA of the earth. So I would say to focus more on your inner state of high frequency, but always with compassion for all who are suffering. Nobody sent it, beloved friends. You invited it. If you live in a cabin in the woods and you throw garbage out to your door so that bears and wolves begin to congregate in your front yard and you no longer feel comfortable going out the door, do you believe that they came to attack you? Or at some level, did you invite them? If you don't want the wolves and grizzly bears at your door, then you have to make sure you take care of your garbage. Let's let Aaron speak to that on Wednesday night. This is far too broad a topic for now. But if you will let Barbara know who you are, she will send out some written material from many years ago when she worked with Aaron a lot in depth on DNA change. So I'm sorry to cut you off with that. Let me then offer you all my blessings. I am the one known as Yeshua, Yeshua ben Yosef. And I love you dearly. You are gathered into my heart, and I embrace you always. For those who are feeling alone, reach out your hand to me. Let me hold you and bring you into my heart with love. Barbara has a picture. Someone gave Barbara this picture of me. It's a drawing, obviously by a human artist. But I have always loved it. And I hope it can express my joy at being with you. You are all my dear children. my brothers and sisters. See if it will, yes, if it's better that way, but we're on our side. Doesn't matter. I embrace you with love. Wishing you all of the blessings of this Easter, this time of resurrection. May you use your time in the coming weeks to further your commitment to awaken for the highest good of yourselves and all beings. May you feel the connection of love that surrounds you. May you have peace. I release the body to Barbara. Thank you, Yeshua. This is Barbara. Thank you all for being with us today. Just you, many of you have your next door neighborhoods. I've been in some conversation with some unknown neighbors, people's names I have learned online but never met. People looking for groceries and people shopping for me and bringing groceries to my door. One man who I've never met and he never brought groceries to me, but I thanked him a few times for his messages. And he apparently rang the doorbell this morning and there was a bag and he said through the door, through the glass door, just some Easter treats. And there was 4 rolls of toilet paper and a couple of big bags of chocolate Easter candy. So much love. And I love the mix of toilet paper and Easter candy. Happy Easter to you all. That's all. I love you.